So with that being said, my name is Stephanie. Nice to see everybody. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Hutch program manager. And today we have three of our cohort members here to join us in a conversation around transforming government through civic tech. So for those of you who aren't already familiar with Hutch, we are a intensive 24-month program, incubator program for digital services and civic tech entrepreneurs. We are Baltimore based, so we're actually located within our Fearless office space in Spark. So shout out to Siobhan for some really awesome space. Love it. And our parent brand Fearless is a software development company in Baltimore that created Hutch back in 2019 in order to be able to focus on women-owned and minority-owned businesses who are looking to do more work with the federal government at the intersection of government, digital services, and community. So we have a really great panel of some of our cohort members today to be able to share their journey with you throughout our incubator program and how they've been able to find success in the civic tech space, and then also some of the challenges and pivots along the way, and more specifically, how things have evolved during COVID-19. So happy to have everybody here with us. Would love to kick it off with some introductions of our panelists. So Jess, did you want to kick it off, and then we'll go down the line to Manny and to Aaron?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. My name is Jessica Watson. I am the CEO and creative director for Points North Studio. So we believe that good design can change the world, and we challenge the status quo by creating experiences that bring people, passions, and causes together. As a digital services studio, we specialize in building compelling brands, websites, and stories. You may also know me from some of the projects that I run in Baltimore City, specifically the Have a Nice Day project, where we write positive messages on blank coffee cup sleeves, and also the Shine Your Light Baltimore project, which are some murals that you can see around the city. And then along with Siobhan, who is also in the audience, I am the co-organizer for Baltimore Women in Tech.
Happy to have you, Jess. Manny?
Hey. So my name is Emmanuel Irania, also known as Manny, and I'm the managing member and founder of Theta. I'm part of the class 2021 for Hutch. Theta is a Black-owned hub zone digital management firm based here in Baltimore, obviously. And we're devoted to really embodying the values that I have, that I put into my company, to always be of service, be passionate, and be different, because we really believe that those values will help us to create a world where tech works for everybody. And that's a really important thing for me, making sure that technology really works for everyone. And as far as like our focus and things that we do, we've done everything from public-facing web applications to like really sophisticated back-end systems, and we've built web services and done a lot of really cool things. But a lot of our work tends to fall within the categories of digital integration, product development, and a little bit of management consulting here and there.
Happy to have you in the conversation, Manny. Aaron?
Oh, yeah. Very nice to meet everybody. My name is Aaron Brooks. I'm the founder of Mastermind. We are a digital engineering pipeline company located right here in Baltimore, where our goal is to ignite passion in technology and connect that passion to opportunity. We do that in a couple different ways. So one, we want to be able to scale not only access to engineering education, but we want to scale access to opportunity as well. So how do you do that? We do completely free public trainings. And we actually are teaching people in 6 continents, various engineering practices, from software engineering to cloud computing, computer science topics, DevOps, site reliability engineering. So that's pretty fun. We also work with companies to help their engineers gain better insights on emerging technologies. And we help augment we help empower companies by helping connect them to the engineers that they need. We know that technology can change the world, and we want to give organizations the ability to wield it to do so. Yeah, it's nice to meet you all.
Love it. I love this group so much. I'm so happy to have all of you here with us today. And definitely for any of our attendees, feel free to drop your questions into the chat and we will hit them as we go along today. So definitely, if you're wanting to ask any questions to our panelists, feel free to drop that over in the chat. And we'll also carve out some time at the end of today's panel to be able to address any other questions that might pop up. So First question from me. So all of y'all are in Hutch. You definitely have that in common amongst many other things. So why did you join? What made you want to take that first step into joining an incubator program?
I'll go first. It's cool. You know, hearing that, I'm like thinking like I had this really interesting sentence I wrote one time, like saying that if I could like condense my reasoning for joining Hutch into like one objective yet personal sentence, it would be like, hey, I joined Hutch because I'm on a quest for like a greater sense of community and a sense of self within everything in my life. And like hearing it, I'm like, it sounds really cornball, but it's actually like really super serious though. And it actually is the truth. Like when I really sit there and think about like how passionate I've been about STEM and STEM access, and then also really think about like, just the civic duty we have as people that take from a system and then also need to put back into a system. It's like you take all these reasonings and just trying to find like-minded individuals that see the importance of these type of missions. Is like, yeah, no, as corny as it sounds, this is like super serious. This is what, the reason why, joining something this was really important for me.
You know what, Manny, that doesn't really sound that corny at all.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm kind of in the same boat where we've always been really active in our community in terms of like just the work that we do in Baltimore City. And then we have Hutch, which is this program that kind of marries tech to solve like civic problems. And I just thought like with how strategic we are with the work that we do anyway for various companies and organizations, can we take that same creative thinking and strategic approach and apply it to some government projects and entities that ultimately go to like serving our communities better? It also just felt like we need to be in the room because these are projects and resources that directly affect us. And Hutch is also quite timely because we've all kind of sat through and seen the misinformation that has like spread around the pandemic and the vaccine. We've seen how tech has played such a negative role in our election cycles and politically. And so it's just like, how can we be on the right side of tech and supporting people? And Hutch seems to be a great space to explore that and marry those different skills and expertise and produce better outcomes.
Yeah. So I'm not before Hutch. I'm not. I wasn't a business person. I'm an engineer at heart, and that's what I was. And I had actually vowed to never work for the government or work for anyone who supported the government ever again in my previous life. But that changed. I was fortunate enough to be connected with Fearless, and I never worked at a company before that I believed in their mission, who showed me that you could care about the things that you're doing, who also showed me that the tech that you build for people, it matters. This is the first, I've worked a lot of roles, and this is the first time I realized that tech mattered. And because of that, so Hutch was basically born out of Fearless. And so I had the opportunity to be close to that and to kind of see it grow. And these are things that kind of were guiding me. Fearless helped lead me to understand what I was passionate about. I was already doing things that I was passionate about. I'm really passionate about tech. I think that tech can be the great equalizer that it was intended to be, but we just got to find ways to make it so. And Fearless kind of helped me find that. And so I'm not a business person. When I saw the opportunity to be able to participate in a business program, whereas if you try to go to any other incubator and you say, hey, I don't even know what I really want to do yet. I just think that this would be good information, good knowledge, so that I can take my passion and apply it in a way that's going to be able to reach many more people. Hutch offered me that. Hutch gave me the ability to do that, to be around like-minded people, to be around people that I already trusted and believed in. And I believe, the purpose of Hutch, I know that it's genuine, again, because I have that connection with a lot of the members of Hutch already. I think that passion really does breed the most meaningful businesses. I'm not in business. Everyone's in business for money. Yes, absolutely. But I am in business to make change and to support you. Use the stuff that I love so much. Use the stuff that's been a great force in my own life to, be able to change other people's lives. And that's why I joined.
And Erin, I love that you hit on the notion around trust, because Lord knows your cohort, being our inaugural cohort, put a lot of faith and trust into helping us shape what this program is today. And so a lot of the program, the curriculum, the training, the mentorship that now Manny and Jess are receiving and benefiting from, I mean, a lot of that was directly shaped by the integral work and feedback that Erin and your cohort provided to us. So thank you for that. And thank you for trusting us so much.
Thanks for trusting me. Thanks for giving me a chance.
I also love that both Manny and Jesse both hit around community as well, because one thing that I think is a huge part of our program is how do we build community within our cohorts? How do we build more connectedness, make sure that folks are graduating with an expanded network of support? So it's not just about Fearless and the instructors and the coaches and the mentors, but it's these deep lasting connections between each of our cohort companies. So I love that both of you had touched on that as well. So I'm kind of curious to hear from your perspective, having gone through the program and Jess being in almost halfway through year one. Manny, you're about to graduate in December from the program. Erin, you just graduated in December from the program. So I'm curious to hear what type of impact and changes you've seen already in your business.
Oh, wow. Oh, who wants to go? I feel like everyone can speak to that.
Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, we all got really excited.
Yeah, everyone's like on the edge, like I have things to say. All right, so yeah, I'm 5-6 months in, or coming up on 6 months into the Hutch program, so it's very new for me. But one of the immediate benefits is just really having the dedicated time to work on my business. I feel like yes, we've been in business for almost 11 years. But if you're a small business owner, you're probably also wearing multiple different hats. And a lot of times you are in your business and not necessarily looking at it from that higher level view. So far, just what we've been able to do within the 1 day a month classes that we had is just focus really on like our messaging, what our core strengths are, what our values are, and how we tell our story, which is, it's almost a notion of the shoemaker's kid has no shoes, because we definitely do that same work for our clients, but being able to be incredibly intentional and just show who we are and our personality and marry that into the business. Like, I want us to look like ourselves and not like every other company. I think it's been incredibly instrumental in attracting some of the new clients and projects that we've been able to, take on just in these few short months, which makes me incredibly excited for just the opportunities that are going to come ahead, and the mentorship and the chance to partner with the other companies that are in the cohort.
Yeah, no, like to build on that, and like Jess, like my company has been in running for a while. And I always like to think about this rap lyric, which is battle rap. Like, yeah, my career was on a treadmill, and I was going, but I wasn't going anywhere. Like I've been going like 5 years in, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I was learning, I was doing the conditioning, I was really learning how to do this thing. But one of the things that really was important, and what really drove me to Hutch, was that the fact that I'm doing all conditioning, but I want to sprint. I want to learn how to sprint. And so getting into Hutch really said, all right, I'm getting a bunch of mentors and coaches that are going to say, like, all right, man, you want to sprint? Cool, let's get on the track. Here's the shoes. Let me show you the type of shoes you got to buy, and let's go sprint. Let's show you how to do this. And that's really important, because, owning a business is a risk. It's a big risk. And Hutch is looking to help afford us a safety net that a lot of other companies that look like us don't always get. The ability to, have those safety nets as a business owner just haven't been equal and hasn't been equitable for everyone. So Hutch is really trying to solve that. And so when I saw the fact that, hey, I'm trying to turn to a sprint track star, trying to get my Usain Bolt on, I was like, yeah, why not? Let me show you the Hutch and see what goes on there. So yeah.
I mean, I didn't have a business when I started Hutch at all. Didn't have a name. That was part of the first month stuff. Register. One of the first assignments was, hey, you got to register. This thing got to be registered when you come back. It's got to be official. And so I needed names. I needed all that stuff. I didn't have a business model. I didn't know what I was truly doing. And I learned. That's what Hutch taught me over the 2 years. I mean, and I went from no business knowledge at all. Sure, I've done side work in the past and said I had a business, but that was just because someone was like, "Hey, I need, build me this thing," and I was like, "Cool, I'll just, I'll do it underneath my business name." But I didn't really have any. I didn't have any of that knowledge. I didn't have access to. I've never. Yeah, I've never been fortunate enough to be a part of a community that would give me kind of that kind of access. But I left Fearless. I left a very cushy lead engineering role back in October to run my company full time. And so I think, if that's not a testament to what exactly what Manny said, equitable access to things, like even the information, the connections, just that safety net. And so it's not a safety net in where, hey, they're not gonna give you money so you can eat, but that understanding, I think that I've learned enough over the years where I'm smart enough to be able to take, information when it's given to me and be able to apply it. But a lot of people just don't have the opportunity to hear these things, to see these things, to see how things really work. And it's, I went from no business to a business that I'm running full time. Is it going amazing? We're still working on it being amazing, but it's going good. It's going good. I just had a baby. We're okay. I have a family. We're surviving. And so it's been amazing to my company. It made my company. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Y'all have grown so much over the course of the short period of time that I've known you. So I think y'all are incredibly passionate, skillful, talented people. And so keep doing what you're doing. You are on the right path for sure. This conversation today, a lot of it's framed around how to be able to leverage civic tech in order to transform government. And so part of the reason why Fearless even created Hutch as an incubator program is because we recognize that in order to make the type of impact that we want to see in government transformation, we need more companies. It can't just be Fearless alone. It can't just be other companies like Fearless and some of our peers that are already out there. We need more and more companies and talent to be able to do this. And so that's kind of the premise for why we even started Hut. So I'm curious, what is civic tech? What does it mean to you? How do you define it? Like, let's level set. What is civic tech for you?
I don't think there's like an industry like standard definition for civic tech, but I hope y'all don't mind me speaking for y'all. But like, I think when we really think about like, hey, there, for civic tech, it's like an all-encompassing term that describes like tech that is developed and deployed for like us, to really enhance the relationship between us, the people, and our federal, local, and state governments, and it's really important. Like, it's really dope that this movement is happening because we're getting more participant role as business owners and as citizens to be a part of the other side of policy decisions that are made, and then helping them to actually build services through tech and through civic tech to help them actually get those services to us, the people. So it's really making the relationship between government and us a truly symbiotic and equitable relationship, and it really brings in those values of ownership and inclusion that we feel are really encompassing of what it means to be a part of the civic tech movement. So I hope y'all mind me speaking for y'all, but I think that really talks like how it means like to be civic tech for us.
Chef's kiss. Perfect.
Love it. I see over in the chat, Shakira shared already super inspired by all of your stories so far. And then we also have a question. So for Manny from Ryan Hill, can you expand upon your why? This is something that we touch a lot about in Hutch for sure. So I'm curious to hear more around your why and how you use that in your approach in the civic tech space. And did Hutch help you with that?
So my why is definitely inside the reason why we exist. I am trying to build a world where tech works for everybody. It is why I wake up. It's why I put myself through this torture some days of some of the hard parts of owning business. It's because, like we've said, the opportunities for inclusion and ownership are not afforded to everyone. And so how can you expect this digital world we're building right now, as you can see around my background, we're building a digital world, and if people are not at the table to the digital world, or at least being thought of in the products and services the government is delivering for us in this world, then it's wrong. It's all bad. It's all wrong. So that is why I experienced these things on the other side as an employee as a W-2. I said, this is absolutely unequivocally not right. So I wanted to fix it. And so that was my why, and it's still my driving factor. Technology must work for everyone, or it's not right. So that's why. And if you really, take it in, that's really, inspired, a lot of my aspirations for Theta. Like, I want to build a company that does tech the right way, that really understands what it means. Like, we have this saying at my company, like, to make sure you tech econo. And what it means is, like, make sure that you're providing meaningful yet straightforward digital solutions, that the things that you're doing aren't just excessive digital footprints to say, hey, I built some Tower of Babel. Like, so, that's great and all, but it doesn't value. Did you actually help the people you're saying to help? If you can't answer that question, then you're in it for the wrong reason. So that really speaks to, like, my why and the aspirations of why Theta exists and what we're trying to do. So, yeah. Appreciate the question, Ryan.
Aaron and Jess, what about your why? What motivated you to enter the civic tech space?
So my why was, I told you I was passionate about, expanding access to tech, because tech had been such an integral part of my life. And I've been participating in tons of meetups and stuff. I was helping run the Baltimore Black Techies meetup, doing a lot of cool stuff, fun stuff. We were putting together curriculum and stuff there. But again, at Fearless, the project that I worked on while I was at Fearless for the whole time I was there was for the Small Business Administration. And we ran the digital footprint for the main Small Business Administration site, applications, all kinds of stuff. And I got to see firsthand how detrimental it could be to a business owner to not be able to access the things that they need, not because the information wasn't there, but because it was hard to find because of poor UX, or was inaccessible because someone had accessibility issues and was not able to discover the part of the page they needed to get to be able to get the information that they needed. People who had thriving companies who needed help to grow weren't able to apply for things, or weren't able to download pieces of documentation to be able to submit, because their internet providers in their areas wouldn't allow speeds over a certain amount, and it was physically impossible because our system would time out before it could download for them to get these things. And it was wild to see how that could affect people, especially during COVID. At the time when COVID happened, I was actually leading the team, so I'd already decided to go the civic tech route because I was able to see that. But firsthand, seeing what happened during COVID, and seeing the government not in the position to be able to support giving out loans to millions of businesses who were dying, who were literally, this is almost life and death for people. Like, it was so crazy to see, and how fast tech could do things correctly, how fast tech could enable people life-saving opportunities, life-saving resources, but also how bad tech, how not doing it properly could, again, ruin someone, literally ruin lineages. People who have been building things, you could ruin your lineage from bad tech, from things that we put out there that didn't work properly, could ruin people. And that's powerful. Like, that's extremely powerful. And exactly how Manny said, equitable. We want to be able to bring everyone to the table so that we can do these things properly. But also just sheer numbers to support. The tech industry is growing massively. Engineers aren't quite growing at the same rate. When you have lots of products that need to be built, and not a lot of engineers to do it, products will be built poorly. And products that need to be built to help us out just won't be built, because, again, those resources aren't going to be there. So that's my why in civic tech. I think it's really, really important.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to follow both both Manny and Aaron's answers because they're very spot on. So I would just add that for my why, I keep thinking of that phrase, we the people, you know, and just like, who are people? And there's not one kind of person that makes up our country. And so when you think about civic tech and creating resources, you have to think about not just the people that are in the room, but all the other ones who are not. And so when Manny and Aaron talk about just like how at the time of COVID, this is literally, quite literally, life or death can be altered by your ability to access key information and resources. And that's really the reason why forward-thinking tech companies like ours who value inclusivity, modern design, and accessibility need to be at the table and involved in making sure that these resources are accessible to the people that need them the most.
Yes, I think that's the perfect segue into, I think, what a lot of folks have been wondering and struggling with around, like, how do they build a business or how do they pivot their business? How do they hire during COVID-19? So would love to hear from all three of you, your perspectives around that.
Building a business during COVID has been interesting. You know, it's been a, you know, especially with like hiring and finding people. You know, it's been really, really cool though, in the sense that, you know, taking everything I've learned from Hutch, really learning how to really be authentically myself in my business and being able to build my business around it. I've been able to like really meet other organizations that, you know, understand the importance of hiring and the importance of opportunity inclusion in your hiring process. So, for instance, recently I've gotten together with the Baltimore Tracks, which is out here in Baltimore as well. It's a coalition of companies that are out here trying to straight up change some of the hiring practices down to like eliminating college degree requirements on certain opportunities and certain job recs to allow people that would look at a job and say, I would really love to do this, but how do I get in? Well, here's your time to get in. Come holler at us at Theta or at Mastermind and other companies that here in these the Baltimore Tracks. But you know, that's how you can build a business, is by giving opportunity, like really understanding that ownership and inclusion really matters, and it really drives a lot of the innovation that we're looking for here in Baltimore and abroad. You know, so that's my 2 cents on like how hiring practices have influenced, you know, what we've learned from Hutch and how we made it applicable here during the last 18 crazy months or so we've been going through.
We've had the opportunity to, so I did all of my hiring basically during this time for the most part, or right before, and it's been pretty interesting. I think it's a good thing because, you know, the lockdown, the move to a more remote centric work environment opens up the world for you. It opens everything up for you, and it removes your excuses for trying to hit your goals, the things that you want to do for diversity and inclusion. There's it removes those barriers. Well, it helps alleviate those barriers because now you have access to a much larger talent pool. It has been interesting. I mean, I think it's hard to, especially as a very new company who doesn't already have, and like so many things are not established, hiring brand new people on and trying to establish those things remotely, I think is tough. And I actually would advise against that. Like, you know, lessons learned, I would advise against, you know, doing that. But, you know, learning experience, luckily the people who have been brought on board have been helping guide that and what it looks like when we do bring on more people, and we're waiting to bring on more people until we get those things solidified, because it's very tough to do. It's hard. You know, we went on our first company outing this past weekend. We went to Autobahn and went to go drive some cars, got to go eat a little bit of food, which was super nice, but it's tough to do. But you know, I think the COVID world is it's cool for engineering practices, kind of. For people who are already established, it's been great. For the issues with bringing in new people, bringing in junior engineers, it's very difficult to support people in this environment. I think this has actually been one of the worst things to happen for junior engineers, for newcomers to the industry. It's been one of the best things to happen to people who are already in the industry. it's you know, it's a little bit of a catch-22, a double-edged sword here for this, but it has been interesting. I've learned again a lot about processes. Your company has to have a lot of processes set up to be able to support during these times for sure. And we sorry, real quick, we were throughout Hutch, we did set up a lot of these things, but this is what happens when you don't strive to get A+ on all of your homework assignments. Okay, so just make sure you guys are working hard because this is what happens.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback and just be like, and just say that it's like growing a business during a pandemic. To be honest, when the pandemic first hit, I went into fight or flight because I know that as a small minority-owned business, we're like the first on the chopping block. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of forgotten in a lot of ways, and you see that when you walk on some of these neighborhood streets and see mom and pop shops that absolutely did not make it. So it was very intimidating at first, but recognizing that there are other people within my community, like other small business owners that are all kind of faced with the same problem, was very helpful and therapeutic. At Points North, we've always been part local, part virtual. So now we've been pretty much all virtual, except I still come into the office. And so it's been interesting to try and like cultivate community and just maintain the personality of our business, but have it all be virtual. Some of the ways that I've gotten around that is just making sure that my teammates feel very comfortable. Like if the dog is in the background, or if the baby's crying and you got to have her on the call with you, like we're okay with that. So it's been an equalizer in just like letting people come as they are even more, which is a huge part of our personality anyway. And then also creating more open spaces during our team meetings to just talk about like what's going on, or like ask a non-related work question about like what the goals and aspirations are, or something that they're really excited about that may not have anything to do with the projects that we're working on. And then once things open back up, we used to have skip days once a month where you could take a Friday and just like go just be away from the office, and we won't mind at all. Or for the local team, we would all get together and maybe do a hike or go meet up in DC and just like explore the art and creative scene there. So I'm really looking forward to being able to bring some of those things back into the mix.
That is awesome. I know Fearless does an annual Hooky Day, which is coming up soon. So I can't wait to experience that. But I love the way that you've embedded that into your company culture by doing skip days every month. That is so cool.
Yeah, I work for y'all.
I know, right? Manny's like, I quit. I'm going to go work for Jess.
I'm here for it.
Definitely, for anybody attending today, feel free to continue dropping great questions into the chat, and we'll try to work through as many as we can in the next 9 minutes or so. So there was a question from Michael to Manny. So following up on Ryan's question, have you noticed a shift in industry values that better align with your why? And if you're not quitting to go work for Jess, can Michael get a raise?
So, interesting, right? So we actually are noticing a shift. I mean, you know, it's good because, you know, my why, you know, wanting to make tech work for everybody, you know, we have an administration that understands that government should work for its constituents. So I'm lucky to have, you know, an administration that currently aligns with my why. But in general, outside of that, even on the local level here in Baltimore, like you're starting to see, like, you know, organizations like Hack Baltimore, things, you know, starting to pop up here. So there's a shift. It's happening. It's not going, you know, at the speed of light, but, you know, it's a marathon, not a race, you know, and we're still going to win. It just takes a little bit of time. That's all. So, you know, and as for the raise, we'll talk, you know, we'll have a conversation later.
Justin, Aaron, any trends that you're seeing? Do you see any shifts in industry, whether that's on local Baltimore tech level? Do you see any shifts that are better aligning to your whys and what you're hoping to do with your businesses?
I think so. I think it's been forced. Things like, you know, the ransomware attack on Baltimore City, things like that. I think people are being forced to realize how important this stuff is, and ultimately how much more efficient it can be than other methods of trying to provide assistance to communities. Tech is super powerful. So I definitely have, especially things like accessibility have been put big into the forefront lately, which is cool. I actually got the opportunity to go to the I think it was in Baltimore, there's the National Foundation for the Blind, I think. But they'll put you through a day where they're like, hey, we'll show you what it's like to walk in our shoes, and they'll give you blindfolds. They'll teach you how to use their walking canes. They'll take you to a computer and teach you how to use their screen reader, so you actually get to feel these things, because you're usually solutioning from a sighted user's perspective, not realizing what a non-sighted user really actually goes through. The things that you think are a problem are not actually the problem, which is pretty interesting. But I think things are changing. I think things are shifting in the right direction. People are starting to know what's going on, but they do need companies like all of ours to help guide them. The government doesn't know. They know that things need to be fixed, but they don't know what to do. It's a lot of information. There's a lot of tech out there, and so they're working on it. It's a slow process, but things are trending in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, I'll co-sign and agree. Absolutely.
Awesome. Any tips that y'all would give to entrepreneurs who are looking to either enter or pivot in the civic tech space?
Ooh.
Be you. Be you. I swear to be you. Again, 5-6 years before, I was doing what I thought everyone else wanted from a federal contractor, rather than just being who I was and saying, hey, this is what you really probably need in your rooms when you're making these type of decisions for us. Between that and like really being okay with being told no, because you're gonna get told no a lot more than you're told yes, so it's fine. But getting back to the habit of cold calling and cold emailing and really doing it, these are like things that I'm realizing, like, hey, it works, because everyone's stuck at home, especially during the pandemic. Everyone's stuck at home. They ain't had nothing to do but check emails and answer phone calls. So this was the time. There was a time to like really be a shark and go for it. It was now. Go for broke. Start sprinting. Do whatever your analogy is. It was now. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's my tip: is just go for broke. Go for broke. First thing you do is tell you no.
Yeah. Also, for civic tech, find what makes you tick. Find what you're passionate in that space. Like the best solutioning comes from passion. I think you may not care about tech at all, but you might care about education. You might care about access to food. You might care, whatever it is that you care about. There's something that you care about somewhere that you're passionate about, and start there. If you want to get into civic tech, start there, and see how you can contribute.
And I would just add to that to find your people, find your mentors, and find people that you can be very candid with, because I do feel like entrepreneurship is sometimes glorified as this rosy field or what have you, with absolutely no challenges. And you're like, once I get over here, it's going to be great. But it's not like that at all. And people are always going to ask, like, how's the business going? And I think that you sometimes feel compelled to be like, oh, it's so great, but you're like crying on the inside. And so I just encourage you. I think that that kind of like a dichotomy can kind of just mess with you a little bit. And so I encourage you to just like find other people who are on that same path or have similar goals, who can uplift you, but can also give you the critical and sometimes candid advice that you need to make valuable decisions to propel you forward.
Absolutely.
Yep. He'll be
find your tribe.
So many good gems being dropped here. Great question from Eileen over in the chat as well. So is it hard or a time suck navigating the procurement process when working with government? Aaron was just like, yes, straight across the board.
I've said over and over. I'm sorry, bro. I apologize.
No, go for it.
I said over and over that you will starve waiting on the government. I don't care. You will starve at first. But again, it's about really making your genuine yourself, dude. They'll find us. It happens. But yeah, it's frustrating. You will starve. There'll be days where I'm really hungry. I wish they see me. but you know, it's part of the game. But again, if you're wide and aligned, if you really are in this for the right reasons, like Aaron said, we want to make money, obviously. But again, it's not we want to hoard it. We want to spend it and uplift our communities and help the people around us. You see what I'm saying? So it's gonna take a time, but it's worth it. You know what I mean? If you're wide aligned, it's worth it. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, it sucks. It's the worst. It's very frustrating.
Aaron, Jess, anything you would add to that?
I think he spoke bars. Absolutely. It's the worst. It's time consuming, but also to his point, absolutely worth it. It's a long game approach. I think that we live in a society where we expect immediate results, immediate gratification, and that absolutely does not apply to anything related to the government. But if you're committed and in it for the long haul, and you know, as he said, like, as Manny said, like your why is aligned with the work that you're doing, you're gonna pull through. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also part of the reason why like y'all joined Hut, right? Like, especially if we can provide that easy button or get you on the fast track, or at least the faster track to doing more of that work, then it's like, why not, right? Like have somebody who's been down that path and who has carved that out for you already be able to guide you and to show you the way. So I think that makes total sense. So yes, it's like you have to align it with your why. You got to find your tribe, but there's also so many good people and networks and support systems out there in place like Hutch and other programs to be able to help support you and nurture you in your growth. So absolutely. All right. Well, I know that we are just about at time. So thank you everybody for joining us for today's session. Definitely check out the recording as well on YouTube from Baltimore Innovation Week and our friends over at ETC. And then of course, make sure to go ahead and follow all of our excellent panelists as well. All of their contact information and social media handles are over in the chat. So Manny, Aaron, Jess, thank you so much for today. Really enjoyed the conversation with y'all.
Thank you.
Nah, this is fun. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Good to be here.
Thanks, everyone.